Hello, 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 hello. Wherever you happen to be located on this mesmerizing planet called Earth, wherever you're located on the globe, I hope you are having a spectacular day, evening, or night, wherever you're located. Welcome to my corner of YouTube about a Bible topic. But it's plain, hardcore, logical facts. No miracles, no frogs jumping out no billions of frogs jumping out the Nile. So I welcome you if you got an analytical mind, whether you're atheist, agnostic, anywhere in between. Whether your particular religion is Hindu, Buddhism, Pantheism, Islam, you're welcome to stay. Because this Bible, as you see, is dealing with remember me. And what I mean by that, I mean remember me. Man dealing with man, or woman dealing with woman, remember me. God dealing with humans dealing with God. Remember me for whatever circumstances. And like I like to say, I'm preaching on topics. And the way I'm preaching, I'm not just taking one scripture and talking 30 minutes about no one scripture. I'm talking about this and that and everything except that scripture. No, I have several Bible scriptures to coincide with this lesson about God. Because if you do know anything about God, he say, reading the Bible line upon line. Okay, that can be a little a passage because that's line upon line. But he said, here a little, there a little. So something may come from Genesis, then I may go to Matthew. Here a little, and that's the way I'm doing it. Here a little, there a little, and I bring it up, the Bible, you bring it all together like a puzzle. Like I said, remember me. Human to human, remember me. God to man, remember me. Man to woman. So let's see what the Bible has to say with things that's saying, remember me. Let's jump right into this lesson. That's coming from the book of Genesis, chapter 4. Starting with verse 10. The Lord said, what have you done? Listen. Okay, he talking to somebody. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So, that blood is saying, Lord, remember me. I have been manhandled. I have been taken out of this world against my will. Now, you are under a curse. So, because you manhandled your sibling, you slaughtered your sibling, you're under a curse and driven from the ground. So you're going to be a wanderer, which opened his mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. So you killed your brother. The blood didn't just sit there for the flies to come there and circulate and lay their eggs. No. The earth opened his mouth and absorbed your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops to you. So, hey, you're going to be planting. God said, you're going to be planting. You can still be planting crops and all that like you did earlier. And you got mad because I didn't accept your crops. You're still going to be planting crops, but it's not going to be as easy as it was before. The crop not going to come up in 15 days. Now it may come up in 45 days. The earth will not be your friend. All because you slaughtered your brother and his blood cried out to me. Remember me, Lord. That's the first incident where something has cried out and say, remember my existence. I was taken away from here against my will. So come to my aid. And you remember, whenever you ask somebody, say, remember me, you basically saying, hey, look, I may need you. Come to my aid in the future. That will remember me mean. I may need your help. Please don't forget me. And we're going to see that in the Bible when many people are saying, remember me. All right, so let's jump right on. This is coming from still in the book of Genesis, but we're making a big colossal jump because now we're in chapter 40. This is what it means. Joseph said, now remember, Joseph, he wasn't called a prophet, but you can say that because God spoke to him in dreams. He had dreams about this reality of things that was going to happen. But remember, when he saw the dream, it was in the dream world. So when he dreamed something, it didn't have no rational physical correlation in the real world. For instance, he dreamed of a famine. But when he dreamed of famine, the calf was bony looking. 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. Well, the plenty came first in the famine. When he dreamed of the plenty, the calf was nice and fat and plump. When he dreamed of the famine, he saw the bony cows. When he dreamed of plenty, he saw the full blossoming corn. When he dreamed of the famine, the corn was withered and dying. So, but people didn't understand what the dream meant because, hey, the physical, the dream world or the spiritual world is different from the physical world. But let me continue with the story. This is what it means, Joseph said to him. The 3 branches are 3 days. See, there's an example. The guy saw 3 branches in his dreams. But Joseph said the 3 branches mean 3 days. Now, how many of us would have thought of something like that? You see 5 branches in your dream. You don't think of no 5 days. You say, okay, I see 5 little sticks in my dream. You don't think. But he had the spiritual insight to interpret the dream with God's help. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift your head and restore you to your position. So he said basically right there, 3 days from now, or whatever, 3 days from now, Pharaoh his anger will be quelled, and he's gonna say, come on back up here and serve me my little cup. Give my little drink. And you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, as just now stated. Just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. See, he made Pharaoh angry. And Pharaoh said, get the blink out my face. I'm going to throw you in that prison until whenever. But then sometime later, I don't know how long, Pharaoh's anger was soothed. And he said, I missed that cupbearer. Bring him on back up. But when all goes well with you. Here we go. The topic. Let me read it again. But when all goes with you, remember me. So, human to human. He said, you're going to be elevated. When you get elevated again, please look back and lift me up and help me. That's what remember me means. One person is going to be elevated, and I'm going to say, can you help me and lift me out of this situation? That's what remember me means. You basically ask somebody to help you. Help, can you help me, please? But he said, see, remember me and show me kindness. When you ask somebody to remember you, and you don't want them to remember you and being angry with you, fighting with you. When you want them to remember you, you want them to have, like Joseph said here, kindness, gentleness, love, patience. Mention me to Pharaoh. See, here we go. Remember me and tell Pharaoh about me and get me out of this prison. See, I like that. It's realistic. It's realistic right there. No one loves prison. Whether it's a fancy, high-roller prison for the wealthy, they still don't want to be in prison. Because if you're wealthy, you still have guards telling you what to do. Get up, do this, and do that. No one wants. And this situation was thousands of years ago, allegedly. Thousands. And he was tired of being in that prison. He was a spiritual man. He was an upright person. But sometimes things don't go your way. But we're going to see God going to remember Joseph. So right now, Joseph is asking a human to remember me, to get me out of this prison. be kind, be gentle to me like I'm doing to you. And get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews. So he's going back to his brothers. Now, if you know anything about Joseph, you know his brothers sold up to slavery. They was jealous of him because he was the apple of his father's eye. They was jealous of him. They wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to kill him first. But one of the brothers said, no, don't kill him. His blood will be on our hands, and God will throw a curse on us. So let's don't kill him. Let's just sell him to the Egyptians. And even here, I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon. And if you know anything about the Joseph, the reason he was put in that dungeon because he was a handsome, beautiful, strappy young man. And Potiphar's wife lusted after him. So we don't hear about that, though. We don't hear about that. We usually hear about the man lusting after the woman. No. Joseph was put in jail because a woman lusted after him. And he was so righteous and holy. He said, Potiphar has trusted me with everything in his house. I will not betray him by sleeping with his wife. And because of that, he didn't want to go to bed with her. She set him up and had him thrown in prison. But now in his prison, Joseph has interpreted. It was really two men who dreams he interpreted. But I'm just representing one. The other guy didn't fare so well. This guy, he failed well. But he still said, please remember me. Please be kind and loving and gentle to me. Please remember me. Human to human. So humans say, remember me. We just don't ask God all the time. We talk to people too. Remember me. See? And this, I like about this because this is a real life issue. We have many men in jail right now who are innocent. And they asking people, someone who know about that case, to remember me, help me get out of this situation where I was set up at. I was set up. I'm innocent. I'm truly innocent, like Joseph. Truly innocent. Because even with Joseph, most of the men in the prison, they asked him why he was there. He said Potiphar's wife put him in jail. And he probably said, okay, you probably slept with her. You know, I'm just being realistic right there. Most of the people in that jail, they thought Joseph probably, I don't know, I wasn't there. I'm just doing normal human assumption. They probably thought he was guilty anyway. But the main thing is, he said, I interpret this dream for you. Please remember me when you go and see Pharaoh or the king, whatever you want to call him, the person in charge of this region. Please tell him about me. And I've been put in this jail against my will. Alright, this comes from still in Genesis. Chapter 41. But you know, since chapter 40 was dealing with Joseph, chapter 41 is also dealing with Joseph. So let's read what it says. This proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you. But before I go on, so we see the cupbearer, he did remember Joseph, but unfortunately, he remembered Joseph like several years later. It came to him. So Joseph was in that, after he helped the cupbearer, he still was in that prison for a couple other years. The cupbearer, he got in prison, he forgot all about Joseph. But he initially remembered Joseph when Pharaoh presented his dream to the cupbearer. He said, I remember the Hebrew in jail. He probably can help you, which he's doing now. You shall be over my house. So now we see what's happening. Because now, the cupbearer eventually remembered Joseph. And God also remembered Joseph. Because God showed Joseph a lot of dreams. His first dream, when he was a teenager, he dreamed about he being lifted up and his brothers bowing down to him. God, now I'm just been, for us, when we read the book of Genesis, that's a couple chapters. But Joseph was in Egypt for decades. Remember, he came there roughly at 17. And we're going to see he becomes a full-fledged man because his brother don't even recognize him. But the main point is, even though the cupbearer didn't remember him immediately, eventually the cupbearer remembered Joseph. And God remembered those dreams that he gave Joseph. Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are. You should be over all my house. See, God remembered Joseph. His dream is coming true. When his brother said, we was bowing down to you, it's coming true. And all my people shall order themselves as you command. See, God lifted him up high. God remember him. Only as regards the throne, I will be greater than you. You will be my second in command. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. And I believe at that time Egypt was probably a lot larger. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot. And they called out before him, bow the knee. And the people bowed. Like I said, God remember him, that first dream when he was a teenager. People was bowing to him. Thus he set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without your consent, no one shall lift up hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphanath-Paneah. And he gave him in marriage Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, Potiphar, priest of On. So Joseph went out over the land of Egypt. See, the main thing, the cupbearer finally remembered Joseph years later, and God remembered Joseph at God's time, because God's time is different from human time. So God came to Joseph's aid right on time, because when Joseph had the dream as a teenager, I never heard him say, I saw myself as a grown man. He never said that. He just said, I saw you all bowing down to me. But he never described how he looked. Maybe he looked the same as a teenager, because he said, I saw you all bowing to me. Let's move on. We still in the book of Genesis. Genesis has a lot of these things. I only give a few examples. About 3 months later, Judah was told, your daughter-in-law, Tamar, is guilty of prostitution. So you go back to Genesis 38, 37 and read about Tamar. And as a result, she is now pregnant. Now, if you don't know anything about Tamar, I'm going to give you a little synopsis on her. Her first husband died. God slew him because he was a, quote, wicked man in the eyes of God. So she married her brother. When she married the other brother, he passed away. So the remaining son was the younger. So she had to wait for him. But Judah never gave his younger son to her, because he thought, oh, all my sons died when they touched her, so he may die too. So Judah never let his son marry her. So she said, look, women want to have babies, especially in those times. Children was their rank of honor. So she wanted a child, so she slept with her father-in-law. So I'm saying, as like the Bible, it is full of normal human interactions. She slept with her father-in-law. Normal human. I can't argue with it. It's in the Bible. Judah said, bring her out and have her burnt to death. Okay, so he said she did prostitution. But he never said anything about his son, see? He never said I was going to give my son to her. He just pointed his finger at Tamar. He never said he didn't fulfill his promise to give Tamar to his youngest son. He never said anything about that. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law. I am pregnant by the man who owns these. Because if you go back and read the story, when Judah slept with Tamar, I believe, if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me, but I believe Tamar had Judah leave his staff with her. So now she is showing him that staff, and he can't kill her now. But let me read on. And she added, see if you recognize who's seal and cord and staff. So he left 3 things with her. He left one, a seal. Then he left a cord. And then he left the staff. So at first I just said the staff. No, he left 3 things with her, and she showed him those 3 things. Let's see what it says. Judah recognized them. It didn't say it. It means one. He recognized them, which is plural, and said, she is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son. She lied, and he did not sleep with her again. So he was a little bit righteous. He only slept for one time, and that was it. I hope he gave it to her son, but she had a baby now, so that made her happy. Whether she married the youngest son or not, she was happy that she had the baby. But we see here, she asked Judah to remember me. Judah did not remember her, but God did. See, I'm sorry, but even if she slept with her father-in-law, God still remembered Tamar and having a baby. Because if he didn't want her to have a baby, he would have made her barren. That's what God would have done. God said, okay, you can have that baby. But Judah, Tamar, asked Judah to remember me. And Judah said, I will not remember you. But God remembered her and gave her at least one son. At least one. All right, let's go on. This comes from Exodus 3. Do not come any closer, said God. So he's talking to Moses here. This is Exodus 3 when Moses see the burning bush. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. Okay, self-explanatory. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. So these were saying, the people, remember me, Lord. Remember me, we're going through the suffering. Remember me, Lord. Or remember us, because it wasn't just one person. Remember us. Remember the promise that you made to our father Abraham, that you was going to give him a land of milk and honey, and we suffering here. Remember us, Lord. So God said, I remember my people. I have heard them cry out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So God said, I remember them. I know they are suffering. I'm coming to rescue them. I'm coming to deliver them from their suffering. I'm coming to fulfill my promise to their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm going to remember them and take them to that land. I remember the promise I made to Abraham. I remember the promise I made to Isaac. I remember the promise I made to Jacob. I'm coming. I'm coming. So he said, so I have come to rescue them. That's what it is when you say, remember me. When you ask someone to remember me, you also ask them to come to your aid. Like Joseph, say to the cupbearer, remember me. Like Tamar said to Judah, remember me. So I made you come to my aid. You gave me that child. From the land of Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanite, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivitites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me. See, they're moaning, they're groaning, they're crying, they're pleading. Please remember us, Lord. I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. That sounds familiar. So now, go. I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, Israelites, out of Egypt. Because I remember the promises I made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I remember them. I'm coming to rescue and deliver them. See, that is. God, remember me. Remember the descendants of Abraham who crying to you every day. See, God, now this is, in this relationship, when I say remember me, this is God relating to the humans. I think my other two, God was still involved in all of them, but on a physical level, Joseph, he was dealing with Pharaoh and the cupbearer, so that was human to human. God was in the background. Tamar, dealing with her father-in-law, Judah, that was human to human explicitly. Here in Exodus, it's exactly God 100%. He the one who said, I remember my promises. Okay, we still in the book of Exodus. Here we go again. This is important. The 10 Commandments. Remember. There we go. So God saying, remember him this time. Remember your Lord. Remember God. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord. So remember me. Remember the Sabbath. Because when he said we remember the Sabbath, we basically saying you remembering the Lord. On it you shall not do any work. Neither you, nor your sons or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, not even the pig, not even the cow, not even the camel, and all the other lot, not even the hens, the chickens, the rooster, all of them will do no work that day. Not just humans. See, we like to say when it comes to humans. People think about the Sabbath. God say, everything, every living creature that's under you, even if you have a bunch of worms that you use for fishing, leave the worms alone on a Sabbath day. I'm saying that, so I'll take it even further. If you have a nursery of worms that you use for fishing, God say, on the Sabbath day, leave the worm alone. Let them be free. If you have a pigeon that you used to like to send from city to city, especially back in those days, you probably used pigeons a lot to deliver a message. Say, don't even let the pigeon deliver anything. Let the pigeon relax relax his wings on a Sabbath. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. So God said, this is a tradition that I made, and I want you to remember me by keeping the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy, because he said, that day you will mimic me. On the Sabbath day you will mimic God, because he said on that day I stopped creation. And if he stopped creation, he wasn't doing, at least when it came to the earth. I don't know what he was doing in other solars and other galaxies. I don't know what he was doing in Alpha Centauri and the Orion Nebula. I don't know what he was doing over there. But I know when it came to the earth, he rested on that seventh day. So he said, remember me by keeping the Sabbath as a rest day and do no work. I wonder if that applies to the computer too. But the computer not alive. Because I wonder if should we just leave the computer alone. Let the computer not do no number crunching on a Sabbath. But of course, see, God, he kept up the living creatures. So he said, the living creatures, let it be. I guess you can let the computer keep crunching numbers on a Sabbath day. Because it's not alive. It's a thing. We're leaving the book of Exodus, but we're still in the Old Testament. The book of Joshua. Here we go. Joshua 2, verse 8. Before the spies lay down for the night, see, normal human event. Like, see, that's a good thing about the Bible. It tells about normal human happenings. Spies. She went up on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land. So this is Rahab talking. You can go read the story in Joshua 1 and Joshua 2. This is Rahab. and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. The Hittites, the Herbatites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, all of them. The one who said he's coming to remove them from the land. So that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites, east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. Did they completely annihilate them? The people and the animals? Go read it. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone encouraged fear because of you, for the Lord is God is given on heaven below. Okay, let me see. Let me go. I hope I read the right thing, because I want to say what she said, spare my life. But let me keep going on. This is coming from Kings chapter 1 Kings chapter 19. There he came to a cave enlarged in it, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I, even I, only am left, and they seek my life to take it away." And he said, "Go out and stand on the mount before the Lord." And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Now I chose this scripture because you heard what Elijah said. They killed the prophets with the sword. They tossed over the altars. They trampled the temple. But God said, "Elijah, I remember you." So Elijah said, "God, remember me. Remember me, Lord. You know I'm jealous for you, God. You know I love you, Lord." So God came and said, "I remember you, Elijah. I had not forgotten you." And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel have forsaken you." So he said, "Lord, I'm running because they've forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your altars. They have maligned your altar. They spit on it. They kick it over. They don't care. And killed your prophets with the sword. And I, even I, only am left." So he said, "Remember me, God. Please remember me. Please remember me." And they seek. He said, "See, I'm running because they seeking my life. See, I'm running. That's I need you, Lord. Remember me to take it away." And the Lord said to him, "Go. Return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael to be king over Syria, and Jehu, the son of Nimush, you shall anoint to be king over Israel, and Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Amalah, you shall anoint to be prophet in your place. And the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu put to death, and the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha put to death. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel." So he said, they're not all gone. They're not all gone. "I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." So, but the point is, Elijah said they killed the prophets. They thrown over the altar. They don't respect the word. They killed everybody. I'm the only one left. But God said 7,000. But he said, but Elisha was saying, "Please, Lord, remember me." And you see right here, The Lord came to him in a wind, but God wasn't there. He came to him in a fire. God wasn't there. He came to him an earthquake. God wasn't there. God came to Elisha. He said, I remember you, Elisha. And when he said, I remember you, he came to him in a whisper. But the point is, God remembered Elisha. He did not abandon him. This coming from the book of Judges, chapter 16. I believe it's verse 26 to 30. When they stood him among the pillars, Samson said to the servant who held his hand, put me where I can feel the pillars that support the temple, so that I may lean against them. Then the temple was crowded with men and women. See? Men and women was at the party. Like I said, it's realistic. The Bible is realistic. It don't hold back. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. So it was a host of people there. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, sovereign Lord. Here we go. Remember me. That's exact right there. Explicit. I don't have to read between the lines. No reading between the lines. Samson said, Lord, remember me. He said, I did a lot of bad stuff before, Lord. I slept with the prostitutes. I slept with Delilah. I didn't listen to you. I told her how I had my strength. She cut my hair off. I opened my big mouth and told her. So after that, she cut my hair off. Now I'm weak as an infant, Lord. But right here, he said, remember me, Lord. Please come to my aid. And he said, please too. Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just one more time. He said, God, please come to me. Give me that power. Give me that mighty strength. Just one more time. And let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. Okay, so he's being a little bit petty there. He said, look, because the Philistines, they did treat Samson like nothing. They blinded them. They took out his eyes. So he said, let me get them from my eyes. But God said, okay, I'll let you get it, Samson. Then Samson reached toward the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood, braced himself against them, his right hand on one and his left hand on the other. Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. So he wanted to die honorable death. Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people. So God remembered Samson. It was no mumbo jumbo, no magic. It was behind the scenes. God gave him one more blast of strength. Thus he killed many more when he died than when he lived. So I guess when he was alive, he didn't kill no 3,000. Moving on. Okay, now we jump to the New Testament. We coming to the end of this lesson about, Lord, remember me. Man, fellow man, remember me. The mother of Zebedee, James and John, came to Jesus with her sons. She got down on her knees before Jesus to ask something of him. He said to her, what do you want? She said, remember me, Lord. Say that my 2 sons may sit, one at your right side and one at your left side, when you are king. She said, remember them when you become king, Lord. That's what she basically was saying. Remember them when your kingdom is here. Put one on the left and one on the right. That's what she asked. Jesus said to her, you do not know what you are asking. Are you able to take the suffering that I am about to take? Are you able to be baptized with the baptism that I am going to be baptized with? They said, yes, we are able. He said to them, you will suffer as I will suffer. But the places at my right side and at my left side are not mine to give. Whoever my Father says will have those places. So he said, look, I'm sorry, man. It's not my prerogative. I can't say yes, I can't say no, because whoever my Father wants to honor, I will do it for them. But she said, remember my sons, remember me. The other 10 followers heard this. They were angry. See, like I said, it's realistic. The Bible realistic. They was angry with the two brothers. Jesus called to them and said, you know how the kings of the nations show their power to the people. Importantly, they use their power over people. It must not be that way with you. But whoever wants to be great among you, let him care for you. So he said, the one who wants to be great, you care for the others. That's the one who will be sitting at his left and right hand. The one who show great care for people. Whoever wants to be first among you, let him be servant. You want to sit at my right hand? You the greatest, be the servant. Then you have hope for sitting at my right and left hand. For the Son of Man came not to be cared for. He came to care for others. He came to give us life so that many could be bought by his blood and made free from the sin. But the point, the mother said, remember me, Lord. Remember my sons and your kingdom. He said, I can't do it though. That's for the Father to do. But she still said, remember me. This coming from Luke chapter 23, verse 32 down to 43. So, there's a little bit of reading. 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. So Jesus he's being crucified now. When they came to the place called the Skull or Golgotha, they crucified him there, along with criminals. One on his right hand and the other on his left. That seemed sort of like James and John's mother request. 2 criminals on his left and right. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. I'm not going to get into that because that's a huge topic right there. And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. See this? See, I got to read that again. And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. They took